Tonight, there is breaking news as we come on the air in the West. President Trump just moments ago announcing Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of the peace plan. The president now saying all of the hostages will be released very soon. The president had been handed a note late today by Secretary of State Marco Rubio in front of the cameras. Tonight, hear what that note said that indicated this could be happening. We'll go live to Mary Bruce. Also breaking at this hour, the arrest. A 29-year-old Uber driver now accused of setting the blaze that led to the horrific Palisades fire that killed 12 people and destroyed thousands of homes. Where he was caught and the evidence tonight. The images authorities say he created of a city burning. Tonight, former FBI Director James Comey arraigned in federal court, pleading not guilty. Comey, a frequent target of President Trump, and tonight what ABC News has now learned about a central witness in this case. Tonight, the East Coast, millions now bracing for what could be the season's first nor'easter, a dangerous coastal storm right up into the Northeast. Lee Goldberg standing by with the forecast. Tonight, National Guard troops preparing to deploy to the streets of Chicago. Tonight, President Trump calling for the jailing with the forecast. Tonight, National Guard troops.
Fucking everyone's over fucking 300 pounds. Oh my God. That is funny as hell, man. You guys are through. No way in hell, man. What a disgrace.
Preparing to deploy to the streets of Chicago. Tonight, President.
That's why Chicago said they ain't scared, man. I want to be scared of some big old roly-poly-oly type of dude, man. This place is done.
Trump calling for the jailing of Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Pritzker accusing the president of suffering from dementia, saying this is a man who has something stuck in his head. He can't get it out of his head. The government shutdown tonight, day 8, no end in sight. And the growing concern now over air traffic controllers forced to work without pay. Alarm over low staffing. And at Newark and Washington's Reagan Airport, they're actually reducing the flights coming in and out so controllers can keep up. The arrest tonight after 5 months on the run, convicted of double murder. The last of the 10 escapees to break free in New Orleans. Found several states away, the standoff. Authorities using gas canisters to flush him out of the house. And America Strong tonight, Dolly Parton right here. Her message tonight for all of you. What she says about her health with so much concern out there. And after her own sister asked fans for prayers. What Dolly is saying herself tonight.
Dolly's up out of here, huh? I want to see about this Hamas deal that Duck supposedly he got it passed or something like that.
Good evening. As we come on the air in the West, we do begin tonight with the breaking news. President Trump revealing a short time ago that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of the U.S.-led peace plan. The president says this means all of the hostages will be released, in his words, very soon. Late today at the White House, President Trump was handed a note from Secretary of State Marco Rubio amid the high-stakes U.S.-led talks to end the war between Israel and Hamas. That note indicating they needed the president to approve a social media post so he could announce this first. Here's what President Trump said just moments later.
I was just given a note by the Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly.
So let's bring in our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce. Mary, the president then making it official tonight. He says the first phase of this peace plan has been agreed to by Israel and Hamas. What else do we know at this hour?
Well, David, as part of this first phase of this peace plan, Israel is also agreeing to, quote, withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first steps towards what the president is describing as a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. Now, in exchange, Hamas, as you note, is agreeing to release all of the hostages, quote, very soon. And just moments ago, Netanyahu saying that he will convene the Israeli government to ratify this ceasefire deal tomorrow. Also in a statement just now, the hostage families say they are welcoming this news with, quote, excitement, anticipation, and apprehension, but saying, quote, our struggle is not over and will not end until the last abductee returns. Now, we still don't know the timing of this, when those hostages will be released, but the president tonight, David, says he could travel to the Middle East this weekend. We are now 2 years and 1 day after the October 7th attack, and the president is now hailing this as a, quote, great day and thanking our Middle East allies, including Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey, for facilitating this important first step towards peace, David.
Mary Bruce with the breaking news as we're on the air in the West. Mary, thank you. In the meantime, the other development.
Imagine being able to build
That's all you're going to say, man? I need more information. You're just going to withdraw your troops? Oh, my God. There's going to be peace in the Middle East, finally.
The arrest of a 29-year-old Uber driver, now accused of setting the
bullshit, man. It's all bullshit. Everyone's happy for nothing. He does this all the time. I can't wait to see what happens next. I don't see any news on Ukraine. But let me start by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rechak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone for teaching me this truth. It's your brother Rabbi Knapp coming out with a lesson, Lord's will satisfying to the Lord's elect. Woman wounded in shooting near Roxbury restaurant.
Investigation is underway tonight after a woman was shot on a Roxbury street, and we now know that her wounds are not life-threatening. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us.
Okay, well, that's all right. Watch out, you women that are at ease, man. Can't even go to the store anymore. Now, that's a hot area here in Massachusetts, man. You go to Roxbury, I can't believe people still getting shot like that. Even after gentrification and all that, Jake's still shooting at each other. That's all the time, man. Texas National Guard troops arrive in Illinois ahead of expected Chicago deployment.
Members of the Texas National Guard have arrived in Illinois and are expected on the streets of Chicago as early as tomorrow at the request of President Trump. It is the latest city targeted by what Trump has called a crackdown on crime. CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skanga has the very latest.
Roughly 200 members of the Texas National Guard are arriving in the Chicago area. Now they'll attend operational debriefs ahead of deployment this week. They're fresh off of C-17 military planes and have already received civil disturbance training. Their assignment, well, the Pentagon has ordered these soldiers to protect federal law enforcement and property from what the Trump administration calls violent demonstrations. Of course, Illinois and Chicago have pushed back, sued. Their argument, they call the move baseless and unlawful, falling short of the legal requirements for the president invoking these emergency powers, even violating the Constitution. A federal judge is going to hear from both sides on Thursday. But before then, sources tell CBS News, we'll see Texas National Guard pushed onto mission outside of ICE facilities in downtown Chicago. And
so Chicago's a blue state, got red staters over there. Good luck with that. The beginning of this chaos, man. I can imagine these Texans coming over there with their chaos in Boston. 13 arrested as pro-Palestinian rally turns violent. The hell's
Are you wearing 7 layers and still freezing? The new
Chaos in Boston last night. Look at this. More than a dozen people walked away in handcuffs, multiple police officers injured during this chaotic brawl around Boston Common. Some people even left with broken bones. This clash broke out during the Flood Downtown for Palestine rally. And this morning, some of those involved are facing a judge.
Lauren Melendez live outside Boston Municipal Court today. Lauren, really a wild scene there.
Oh, wild for sure, Jeff. So wild that 2 police officers had to go to the hospital with broken bones, trying to wrestle those protesters for control during that violent protest this morning. I've got new names, new charges, and new statements for you ahead of the arraignments for those 13 individuals involved. At the height of the violence, protesters carried away by police, forced into arrests after officers say they resisted and attacked them. 13 men and women ranging from 19 to 28 years old accused of breaking away from what started as a peaceful protest on the Common during the Flood Downtown for Palestine rally. But police say around 6:45, the 8 men and 5 women whose names were released Wednesday morning forcibly removed or damaged their body cameras, radios, bicycles, and other gear, all while igniting flares full of red smoke, blocking traffic, escalating into an all-out brawl. Mayor Michelle Wu saying Boston will not tolerate violence, and we categorically condemn those who came into our community to attack our police officers, adding these attacks must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. All this after learning the protesters allegedly surrounded police vehicles, kicked their doors.
Damn, bro, they broke your bones? I'd be fucking those protesters up. Lucky I ain't in the police force. I'd have broke somebody up. No way in hell you should be getting your bones broken. You're the one with the sword.
And hit one officer in the face. The protesters claiming the U.S. is a, quote, war machine that supports famine and genocide, adding they want to fight the system, ultimately facing it in court.
Well, hey, the thief cometh not, but to still kill and destroy. It's going to be crazy out here. Crazy. John 10, verse 10, the thief cometh not but to steal, but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. What's that talking about? Let's look this up. What does this mean? John 10 and 10 is a biblical verse where Yahushua contrasts the destructive actions of thieves with his own mission to provide abundant life for believers. He's a thief, man. You know, if you robbing and stealing and killing, you know, and then think, you know, nothing's gonna happen, man, you're fooled. That's why when you put yourself in a position to be on the devil's side, these things are gonna happen to you, man. The thief represents false teachers, religious leaders, or any force that harms people for personal gain. That's Esau. He'll harm you for personal gain. Okay, he'll also pay people off to in your religious leaders. That's why it tells you in Jeremiah the 14th chapter, the gates of Judah mourneth. Let me grab that. Jeremiah 14 and 2, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof language. The gates represent your judges, your rulers, your leaders. They're languishing. What's this word languish mean? Of a person or other living thing, loose or lack vitality, grow weak or feeble. And that's where your pastors are. They're weak. They're feeble. Okay, that's why they don't do what the scriptures tell you to do, man. The scriptures talk about how to be a man. It talks about keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. You look at your pastors, none of them have a beard. They're ashamed of having a beard, because the world might look at you like you're something. You're a bum. You look like you ain't got any money. You know, you look like, who gives a? I don't care. You know, what this world thinks, man, because at the end of the day, the world's gonna die, man. You know, this age that we're in, this is gonna come to an end. They are black unto the ground. Let's look at this word black in Jeremiah 14 and 2. Okay, because this is twofold. Okay, they are black, kadar. Okay, blackish, darkened. Okay, to mourn, be dark. Be dark, and to cause the morn to grow dark. So it's twofold, but kadar has to do with your skin. Okay, darkened, dark colored. By implication, to mourn in sackcloth or sordid garments. You know, so it's also talking about they're mourning. Blackish, be make, darken, heavily, cause to mourn. Be dark, dull colored, compared in Arabic, be dirty. Let's see other scriptures where it says, uses the same word. Because this is how you're really supposed to study. You don't just look at it, read it, and just keep going. You go into other precepts. This is what's good about the blue letter, where you see the same word being applied in other scriptures. Okay, like here, same Hebrew word, but it says mourn in Job 5 and 11, to set up on high those that be low, that those which mourn may be exalted to safety. Okay, so it'll show you that they're mourning. And then it says, Job 6 and 16, which are blackish by reason of the ice, and wherein the snow is hidden. Actually, let's go to Song of Solomon. use the word Kedar when he says, I am black but comely. Doesn't say it here. Let me grab it. I thought that word was Kedar too. I think it's Song of Solomon. One and 6. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun have looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards. By my own vineyard have I not kept. This word black.
Strong's H 7840. Shecher Chor. Shecher Chor.
Shecher Chor. Blackish of the skin. Okay, so now this is Swarthi, so that means black. But Kedar in Hebrew. What does Kedar in Hebrew mean? Most commonly means to be dark or to mourn. It also the name of a prominent nomadic tribe mentioned in the Bible. The specific meaning depends on the context in which the word is used. To be dark, this can refer to the sky growing dark with clouds, or the sun and moon being darkened. In the Song of Solomon 1:5, the bride compares her dark skin to the tents of Kedar. Okay. To mourn, yeah, but let's go to Song of Solomon 1:5. Because why would you use two different words? That's the point. Sometimes when you look into the Hebrew, the thing about when you look into it, into the blue letter, is what I found is it goes into like it might not really be good for the, they'll go into the root word of it, but not really giving you the contextual word of it, if that makes any sense. So you really have to go, you really would have to know the Hebrew. Like, you're not gonna really get the Hebrew unless you study the language itself. Because the way the blue letter works, they'll go give you the etymology, they'll give you the root word, but then that root word, there's different ways of saying that root word, okay, depending on context. If that makes any sense. Just like the English language, you might use there in multiple, you might, they are, or there, you got to use it in context, even though it's the same word. And that's what the same thing happens in Hebrew too. Okay. Song of Solomon 1:5, I am black but comely. That's what I thought, but black, Sahor. Shakor.
Strong's H 7838. Shachor. Shachor. And second entry, Shachor. Shachor. Strong's H 7.
Sound like Tupac Shakur. So you, man, Jake be having Hebrew names and don't even know it. Blackish color of the face. So that's a different word. Let's go into the Hebrew etymology, Shakur. Okay, so Shakur in Song of Solomon 1:5, and then in 1:6, it's a different word. But he tells you that the sun has risen upon me. The sun don't make you lighter. Okay. Let me go into this root word too. Shakur, different word, same thing. Let me go back to Jeremiah, and it don't give me the Kedar. Okay, so two different words. I thought it matched up with Song of Solomon. It doesn't. But when you look it up, it says it could be. It says in the Song of Solomon 1:5, the bride compares her dark skin to the tents of Kedar. To be dark. it's interchangeable. But the point of the matter is, your gates are mourning. Okay? Your gates, your nobles. Let's look at this word, gates. Door, port, porters, gate, royal temple, court of tabernacle. So it doesn't say leaders or rulers. This is why you got to go precept upon precept. Because it also, actually, let me go on the root word. To split open, reason out, calculate, reckon, estimate, to calculate. To act as a gatekeeper. To think. That's why you got to go to Deuteronomy 16. And 18. Judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. So your gates, which are your officers, your people of higher positions, they're not teaching Israel how to be righteous, executing just judgment. They're telling you to follow the ways of the heathen. They got the same doctrine as the slave doctrine they had. Okay. Where am I? Jeremiah 14:2. Okay, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof language. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. So it's twofold scripture. It's basically telling you that Judah is dark-skinned and that Judah is mourning because their leaders are not, they're not executing judgment. The gates are languishing. Language is loose or lack of vitality. You know, they're grown weak. Vitality. Definition. The state of being strong and active, energy. Yeah, they don't have no energy, man. Especially when it comes to righteousness, man. They're weak. Okay, so that's why a lot of y'all don't know who you are, is because your gates are weak. You know, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And the men that do know, there's not many of them. You know, the laborers are few. Okay, just like it says in the book of Luke. Luke 10. Red letter, Luke 10:1. The 70 sent out. After these things, the Lord appointed other 70 also. So there was more disciples than the 12. And sent them 2 by 2 before his face into every city and place whither he himself would come. Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that he would send forth laborers into his harvest. And the harvest is ultimately the elect. You want to be able to go out there and tend and you know, and bring forth by teaching, by bringing, pretty much by teaching, you're bringing the elect back to the Heavenly Father through His Son. That's the point, to gather the true believers, the desirables, the ones that the Lord's looking for, the Israel of the Most High, the remnant. You know, they need to hear the word, okay? Go your ways, behold, I send you forth as lambs among wolves. Okay, pretty much. The laborers are few, is what I'm trying to get to. And the gates where majority of the people go, they go to these harlot houses, and they're not teaching you anything about. They're not going into these words. They're not breaking it down. They're not bringing you back into remembrance. Okay, that's what they should be doing. Because the time is near, man. As a matter of fact, what's this?
Don't have sewers anymore.
What was I looking at here? Trump hosts Antifa roundtable, pushes foreign terrorist label on foreign terrorist label on a domestic terrorist group. So they're going all over the place with this Antifa thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if they overreach. It might start with them and then they overreach. Okay. I'm trying to see what Pambondi said. What's this?
Stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the street. We're not going to stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets. It's breaking down the organization brick by brick. Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa. Destroy the entire organization from top to bottom. We're going to take them apart. Thanks to your bold leadership and the designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, which is exactly what they are, Americans will no longer tolerate their unhinged violence.
And then you look into Portland and see what they're doing, and it's just a bunch of foolishness. It doesn't meet. You mean the police can't handle what's going on in Portland? The National Guard can't even do it. That you have to open up an insurrection act and try to get the military to do the job of the police. Come on, man. That's a weak attempt to bring forth prophecy. But the Lord has the eyes open of the elect, so they can see it. I mean, pretty much. You ain't got to be in. Prophet of the Lord to see that. A lot of people are talking about it on the internet. That ain't in the truth like that. Okay, so a lot of people see it, but yet not everybody's speaking about these things. You know, not a lot of people are talking about this. A lot of people not getting it to matching it up with prophecy. You know, and that's the problem with the laborers out here, man. You know, those gates are languishing, and it's gonna come at a price. That's why the Lord said He's an austere man. He's gonna people gonna pay for that, man. All these different protests, people getting their bones broken, and this is all prophesied. You know, 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter talks about pretty much. Well, that's 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter. Uproars of the people, but 2nd Esdras 15 talks about a time where sedition and all of that. If these people are willing to go and break the bones of an officer, how much more do you think they're gonna do when military and all of that is in on the streets? The police are trying to keep it civil. You know, they're trying to maintain order. They don't want to just clap you, man. You know. But when it comes to the military, they're gonna shoot your ass, man. There's no way you're gonna break somebody's bones in the military and think you're gonna get to court on Monday. All right, and that's the time that we're coming into. And if you're involved in any of this shit, you know, some of you jakes are in the midst of this because you like to follow the heathen. So anything the heathen are doing, you willing to support them. But when it came to your your how can I say it? What we've gone through as a nation, you know, it falls on deaf ears to the point where you don't even care about it anymore, and you join causes with the heathen. Let the heathen go out there and fight and get there, and let them get destroyed on their own. You don't need to follow them. Okay, this is why we got to stand on Yahushua. The Lord's doing a lot right now to destroy all of our enemies. Let them destroy themselves. That's what they deserve. You know, when you look at the history, how they participated in your downfall. Okay, but since you lack knowledge, you get destroyed with them. As of fact, we're done with that. ICE Detention Oversight Agency temporarily closed. Let me see. I know there was something. Oh, yeah, damn. There was a big-ass elephant that I think he killed somebody. Trump announces Israel and Hamas sign off on phase of peace plan. Said his bones got broken. That's crazy. Massive explosion and fire at largest refinery on West Coast. And they're telling you that that gas prices are going to go up in that area because of that. Something else I was trying to... All this peace deal bullshit, man. Damn, they're closing Starbucks in Baltimore now.
In Baltimore, 6 Starbucks stores are now closed. Across the country, the popular chain is closing hundreds of stores, and employees are protesting.
But as Fox 45's Jessica's Babb is showing us, it all comes down to the bottom line. She has more.
The 6 Starbucks locations that are closing are in popular parts of the city like Canton, Fells Point, even Federal Hill, even this store right downtown in the Inner Harbor area. And I talked with one business owner just down the street from where this store is located, and he says,
you know what? I'm starting to think Starbucks knows something, man. They're not just closing, their business is good. Why would they even do that? You know, when you look at these parallels you could see between now and 2020 when they were shutting down all these stores. They lost a lot of money when you know, because they didn't know what was going to happen. So I think they trying to get ahead of the curve, man. Just say, shut them shits down now so we can save money on the back end, because it's about to get, they know something, man. Something about to go down. A lot of these companies are going to shut down just to avoid the looting, the robbing, the stealing, all of that shit. This is about to get chaotic out here, man. You know, I was watching a story last night in the news. Dude was going into college students' houses and just going in there. He was going in their fridge, eating their food. These college students stupid as hell. They live in the house, maybe 4 or 5 men in there. They all sleep at the same time. Some dude hops in the window and robs them. He's eating snacks and these people don't give a fuck, man. And then they wake up, oh, we kept missing things because he knows you people are, that's how dumb you people are, man. He's probably been watching you all the time. Like, these people are drunk all the time. They're always high on drugs, you know, and you looking like victims out here, man. Looking like somebody they can go make a sandwich in your house while 5 of you were in there. Okay, there's some spirits out here and then if you're lucky you stayed asleep, because he probably would have fucked you up if you did get up. Excuse my language. But these are the type of people that are out here. You're being watched whether you know it or not. Somebody's watching you everywhere you go. Okay, people remember faces. People remember how they saw you. Okay, and if they think they can get over on you, they're gonna get you, man.
crime could be part of the problem. Despite protests brewing in Baltimore and Starbucks workers who are piping hot.
This is how your coffee's made. Oh my God, that's funny. But you know, it might seem silly, but that's huge, man. That's huge. Those are 6 people right there that are not going to be working, and there's more jobs coming out. I'm sure it's not going to stop with Starbucks, man. Okay, Baltimore, you got to look at what was going on in Baltimore in 2020. You know, these certain areas, especially like LA and all of that, they about to get rid of all those jobs, man, because they know there's going to be a time where all the doors shall be closed in the streets. That's like it tells you in Ecclesiastes, 10th chapter. I think it might be somewhere else. It might be 12 or something. Ecclesiastes 12, verse 1, remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. Let's look this up. Let's look this up. Ecclesiastes 12, verse 1 is a call to remember and honor God in your youth before the inevitable difficulties of old age and the decline of physical and sensory abilities make it harder to find pleasure in life. Right. You know, a lot of people, they wait until they're old before they want to start seeking the Lord. And then when they do seek the Lord, where do they go? To the harlot house. So in all actuality, they never even found the Lord. Whole life full of vanity. Never served them, never knew who they were, never kept the law, statutes, and commandments. That's why their ankles are as big as a house. They don't know what the Levitical law is in Leviticus, the 11th chapter. The church ain't telling you to keep the laws. You're singing in there, you're dancing. You know, there's nothing wrong with singing and rejoicing. We should be singing and rejoicing, but you should be singing these psalms. Okay, you should be singing about salvation, for him giving you back the understanding that you got a Savior, okay, that you're in captivity, giving you back your remembrance. These are things you should be rejoicing over. They're singing about something that they calling themselves Christians and don't even know who they are according to the Bible. It's like they're reading somebody else's letter, even though it's addressed to them. The verse written by King Solomon serves as a transition to a poetic description of aging in the following verses, emphasizing that the time to prioritize a relationship with God is during the prime of life, when one has energy and fewer hindrances. Okay? Yeah, this is when you want to be serving the Lord when you're younger. You know, you ain't got a whole lot of attachments to the world. You know? You might not have kids, a house, you know, job, things like that. It's easier to come and serve the Lord at that time than it is when you're older and you have all these distractions that really don't matter, but it prevents you from serving him at the, it prevents you from coming in later on in life is what this is saying. Key aspects of Ecclesiastes 12:1, a call to action. It urges a conscious ongoing recognition of God's role as creator in the sources of life, which should influence every decision. That's right, man. It should influence every decision. If you had the understanding of the Bible, you would know that the time is near, that all these things are going to be fulfilled. And if you ain't got a functioning, working relationship with the Lord, you're not going to feel like you're going to be dealing. If he ain't give you this wisdom, knowledge, and now you're going to fail down the road. You're going to fail. Okay? And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of the times. You're not stable with the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. The days of your youth, this refers to the period of strength, potential, and teachability, a time to establish godly habits and priorities. A habit is something that you got to continuously, like exercise. When it comes to exercising, there's you can't just stop for 6 months and then come back. No, you got to keep working on these different aspects if you want to be strong in those areas. And it tells you, let me grab it because since I keep bringing it up, that this wisdom and knowledge shall be the strength of your salvation. Okay, Isaiah. Jeremiah. No, Isaiah 33. Okay, Isaiah 33, verse 6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. Okay, so that's your strength, is this wisdom and knowledge. It's not only is it going to make you stable, but it's also going to strengthen you in salvation because it's going to keep you stabilized in that time. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Okay, the fear of the Lord is his treasure. Fearing the Lord. They don't teach about fearing the Lord. You say God loves everybody. That's and you always jump to John 3:16. Read the whole chapter. Okay, when you don't just be a fool like everybody that takes one precept and then misinterpret that and then pushes that on his makes that one precept the foundation of his whole understanding of the Bible. That's not what this book is talking about. Look into the Greek. You have the tools you need to come up with the right conclusion. And there's people telling you that that's not what that means. But the church, because that's the popular opinion, you got heathen that want to take away. If by them saying God loves everybody, that takes away the fact that you're an Israelite and that the Lord is only dealing with you. So now, if you believe God loves everybody, now you have to trim your way in order to seek love, to be a part of that. Well, he loves everybody. I don't want to be missing any love. No, he loves you. They're the ones missing the love, and that's going to come to pass in these last days. Okay, there's going to come to pass that that Lord ain't dealing with them. Okay, Proverbs 1:7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. If you're a fool, you're going to be destroyed. Ecclesiastes 12:2, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Let me look this up. Ecclesiastes 12:2 is a poetic description of the decline and frailties of old age, using vivid metaphors to portray the dimming of senses, the loss of physical strength, the darkening of the eyes, and the general decay of the body as the body's functions diminish and the spirit approaches its separation from the physical form. The verse serves as a continuation of the call to remember one's Creator in youth before the onset of these inevitable signs of aging. Yeah, ultimately, as you get older, you start to deteriorate. But it's also talking about, the sun, the moon, and the stars also talking about wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. If you ain't using it, you're gonna lose it, man. Okay, and it's also talking about this destruction that's coming. Okay, this thermonuclear destruction. Okay, no clouds return after the rain. I want to get this. Meaning, that's why I like going in chat. It'll no clouds return after the rain is a phrase from Ecclesiastes 12:2 that symbolizes the perpetual and unending succession of troubles and afflictions that come with old age, replacing the sunshine and joy of youth. That's right. It's just a time when one misfortune follows another without a break, a period where darkness and gloom seem to return as a storm that never truly passes, in contrast to a vibrant life where sun follows rain. The clouds return after the rain. So you just constantly, and that's Jacob's trouble in a nutshell. You want to get this knowledge now before the day of the Lord, man. Ecclesiastes 12:3, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Okay, and the keepers of the house are those who, it's the bankers' families, but it's also people who keep this economy going. Okay, the elites, they're, the S&P 500 companies, and they're gonna be trembling. And as we can see, just like Starbucks, and now I'm just looking at it down the road, they got insight. They know that, just like in 2020, a lot of people we've learned a lot about how people react to different, how they react to Duck. And they already don't like him, and then the things in the world that are going on that he's clearly being a part of. He might have peace over there in the Middle East, but ain't gonna be no peace over here, and eventually ain't gonna be no peace over there either. Okay, so don't be fooled by any of that. This has been an ongoing problem for over, I don't know how many years, man. And it's going to continue. It's not going to be all over when the hostages are given over and all that. No, we're talking about the wicked here. Just a month ago, he was talking about building a Trump Tower in Gaza, on the Gaza Strip. Okay, this is the same person. Okay, so the keepers of the house are those who have the power, who are in high positions that keep this economy going. They're gonna be trembling because in order to make money, you need some type of stability. There ain't gonna be no stability here. What's the point of having a Fortune 500 company when it ain't gonna, no one's gonna buy anything? You need a business plan. You need customers. There ain't gonna be no customers, man. When people are burning down property, okay? They gotta shut all that down. And then on top of that, you know, they protesting about leaving the jobs. They might start looking for you. Okay, it's gonna be like that movie The Purge, man. Some people want to go after, you know, just, you know, people who are, whoever they want to. And the scriptures back that up, that they're gonna go after their kings and their nobles and things like that. Okay, but this is mostly talking about the all the way up to the elites, down to the people that your Elon Musk and things like that. He was trembling when his Teslas were getting blown up. He did a smart move. He separated his ass from Duck. He was like, let me get the fuck away from him, man, because he's fucking up my money. You know, excuse my language again. But that's what happens when you associate yourself with somebody, when you make the customer mad, you know. Now, he had to separate himself, and then during the Charlie Kirk incident, that's when they were talking. They probably still cool, you know, but when it comes to money, they'll play devil's advocate with one another. He's the same guy that plays, he says things to manipulate the stock market. And that's a lot of the things that Duck does too. Okay, when you start to send, you know, that's why, you know, the stock market goes the way it is, because of these different events that are going on. But if they ain't stable, people are not going to allocate money into business. They're going to take their money out of business and put it somewhere else. They're going to do what, what's his name, Warren Buffett's doing, sitting on, I think like millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. He'd rather sit on a pile of cash than have his money invested and lose his money. Okay, that would be considered a keeper of the house too. Trembling. He don't want to put his money anywhere. And I know he damn sure don't want to put it in the bank either. Because even the banks were being, you know, there was a problem with the banks, getting your money up out of the banks. So who knows? He probably took, and if he takes his money out the bank, that bank's gonna crash, man. So he's probably been taking money little by little. You haven't been noticing it. Just taking his money out the bank, man. You know, not all at once, but shit, we coming to a time when they're gonna pull the rug on this place, man. The stock market's gonna crash. You're gonna be screwed out here, man. And you didn't even see it coming. You were relying on your 401k. You were relying on your next week's check to pay your bills. You got to always have in the forefront the Lord that, hey, if worst case scenario, as long as I got breath inside of my body, I'm good. You know, and he said he's going to give us, what did he say? With clothes and with raiment and food, be satisfied therewith, something like that, or with raiment. Okay, using these weird words, man. Raiment and food, be satisfied therewith. 1 Timothy 6:8. Timothy 6. Verse 8. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. Okay, food and raiment. It don't matter how many bills you got, you can still eat and you can still clothe yourself. So guess what? You're winning. Never lose sight of that, man. This devil's system is fake. It's gonna be destroyed. So don't be overly overwhelmed with what this devil's putting on you, man. He's only doing it to take away your faith. 1 Timothy 6 and 8 means that if Christians have enough basic necessities like food and clothing, they should be content with what they have because they brought nothing into the world and will take nothing out of it. This contentment is part of the great gain of godliness, and it serves as a safeguard against the temptations and destructive desires that come from pursuing wealth. So you got to be able to lose all this and still be content. The Lord said He's going to feed you. And that's it. First of all, you got to be an Israelite. Secondly, He's talking about the men of the Lord. And if you're not listening or seeking the Lord in this time, you're probably not going to be sustained in that time either. Because He's not sustaining you now. He should be putting the Spirit on you to be seeking Him. With all your heart, you should be seeking the Lord. Godliness with contentment, the verse is part of a passage where the Apostle Paul discusses the true nature of wealth. He teaches that godliness with contentment is great gain, meaning that a life devoted to God coupled with a satisfied heart is far more valuable than worldly riches. So that's hard for people to wrap their minds around, man. You know, because I want to get out of debt. I want to pay off my student loans. I want my mortgage paid off. I want to put my kid. They got all these worldly desires, okay, that are not aligned with the Lord. If you understood the Lord's will, you would put those things off, or not just cut them off, but you would understand that it's really the Lord's will, whether we're here that long where that's even going to be applicable, you know, but it's not. The only thing you got in this future, if it's not salvation, if the Lord don't come in this time, best believe you're fucked. You're fucked. I don't even know how to find another word better than saying you're dead, man. The only thing you got in your future, colon cancer, lung cancer, plague of your body, man. Digital devices, brain cancers and shit, man. Then he gonna come out with 6G and through. And if you're the type of dude or woman to have every latest new phone, more radiation, the newest AirPod and the next new iPad and the latest Tesla vehicle, you're out of here, man. Don't think these don't have adverse effect to your body. Okay, your water's being polluted, the air's being polluted, your food is polluted, your kids' minds, they're polluted, your mind's polluted. If you're not seeking the Lord, you're polluted. You're filthy if you're not washing yourself with this word. Okay, if your mind's not occupied on the Lord, you got a filthy, polluted, crazy mindset. You're a demon. It's 100%. You could tell. You know, even if you just do the work a little bit, if you're studying a little bit, you're doing far way better than any other person in this world if your mind is on the Lord. Even a little bit. 10 minutes out of your day to thank the Lord, and not just because He gave you something to eat. Thank Him just for waking up, for nothing. Just thanking Him just constantly for whatever. You want to get in the process of finding something to be glorify Him about, because He's doing a lot. Temporary nature of material possessions. Paul reminds readers that they cannot take their earthly possessions with them when they die. Therefore, the focus should not be in accumulating wealth, but on having the essential necessities for life. And we can't forget that. You need food, you need water, you need clothes, And you don't even need a roof over your head, man. You ultimately need the Lord. So don't let the bills and most of the time, if you got health, that's better than anything else, man. Right there, that's rich. You're rich. If you got good health in this polluted land, you are rich. That's the real value here. So I would be trying to get your spirit right, get right with eating right. You know, I highly suggest the Daniel fast, man. You know, because this food will make you tired, man. You eat too much meat, makes you tired and lazy, makes you fat, gives you all types of parasites. If you want to eat the best out of the worst, I don't see anything, but I don't see anything wrong with the Daniel fast. That doesn't mean you don't eat the lamb on the Passover. You know, this just gives you more energy and more. It just gives you more energy. You're not burdened by all these, whatever he's putting in the food, whatever he's doing to these animals, man. You don't want nothing to do with that. Bleaching the chickens and overfeeding the cows, force feeding the cows. There's all types of wickedness, man. And he's doing it to the plants too. But if you're gonna have the best of the worst, I mean, water and vegetables, man. it ain't the best thing, but you know, it keeps you humble, man. You know, you look up what did poor Israelites eat, and believe it or not, you look into it, and it's a good diet. It's a good diet. I was just looking at the National Guard. All of you got to, I think, I don't know what is let me find out real quick. What is the weight requirement to be in the National Guard? Weight requirements for the National Guard vary significantly based on age, gender, and the specific branch, Army or Air Force, using height/weight charts and body fat percentage tests. While there are initial maximum weight limits, recruits who are slightly over can often pass with a successful body fat test, a process known as a weight waiver. There must be a lot of weight waivers. You're going to need a weight waiver. Eligibility and requirements, goarmy.com. Will my height or weight prevent me from joining? Height and weight restrictions vary by age. So it's giving me something. Check the height and weight chart to see if you're within the requirements to join. Men ages 17 to 20, height 58 to 80 inches, weight 234 pound max. All right, so what's that? 12, 24, 36, 42, 50, 56, 68, 72. So if you like 6 feet, well, I still think that you 17 to 20 and you 234 pounds. That's high. That's high, man. But that's the max, so that makes sense. That makes sense. Women, 17 to 20, 58 inches to 80 inches is 119 to 200. Damn, they can be just as big. If you enlist to become a soldier and don't meet the physical requirements at MEPS, you may be eligible for the fitness track of a program called the Future Soldier Preparatory Course. Over 90 days, Army health and fitness experts will help you meet the required body fat composition before you start basic training. Talk to a recruiter about program details and if it's an option for you. Let's look at the full height weight chart. So let's see. 48, 60, 72 is 6 feet. So I'm probably around 72, 73. So 70, I'll say 73. I'm a little over 6 feet. Minimum weight in pounds, 144. Maximum weight in pounds, 195. That's it from 17 to 20. I'm 38, so maximum weight in pounds at 73. So I'm supposed to be like 205. So I'm overweight too. Maximum weight in pounds, ages 40 plus, 208. Who the hell is reaching these numbers, man? We all overweight, man. 205? Shit. I don't know. 205 sound crazy to me. You might have to do some drugs or something, man. 205. Ah, man. We got to get the hell out of here, man. Temporary nature of material possessions. Avoiding temptation, the desire for excessive riches can lead to spiritual ruin. That's right. This statement in 1 Timothy 6:8 encourages a life of sufficiency, protecting believers from the snares and harmful lusts that come with the pursuit of wealth. You know, you got to be content, and with this word, it should be comforting us. Trust in God's provision, contentment with food and clothing reflects a trust in God's faithfulness to meet the needs of his followers. It's about recognizing that God is the ultimate provider. That's right. That's why he was telling them he was telling his disciples in the book of Luke, 10th chapter, man, don't bring all that extra shit, man. They were trying to bring extra pair of shoes, extra bag, extra staff. He was like, man, get rid of all of that shit. He didn't say that, but Luke 10, verse 3, go your ways, behold, I send you forth as lambs among wolves. Carry neither purse, nor scrip, nor shoes, and salute no man by the way. And into whatsoever house ye enter, first say, peace be to this house. And if the Son of Peace be there, your peace shall rest upon it. If not, it shall turn to you again. And in the same house remain, eating and drinking such things as they give, for the laborer is worthy of his hire. Go not from house to house. So you had to rely on the people you were ministering to provide for you. Okay? Your labor is worthy of his hire. The laborer is worthy of his hire. Go not from house to house. And into whatsoever city ye enter, and they receive you, eat such things as are set before you. And heal the sick that are therein, and say unto them, the kingdom of God is come nigh unto you. But into whatsoever city ye enter, and they receive you not, go your ways out into the streets of the same, and say, even the very dust of your city, which cleaveth on us, we do wipe off against you. Notwithstanding, be ye sure of this, that the kingdom of God is come nigh unto you. But I say unto you, that it shall be more tolerable in the day for Sodom than for that city. That's right. They don't receive you, man. Good luck. 1 Timothy 6 and 7. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we carry nothing out. So we can't forget that, man. Okay, we didn't bring anything in this world, man. Okay, 1 Timothy 6 and 8, and having food and raiment, let us be there with content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction, and perdition drowns you in it, man. Okay, and the strong men shall bow themselves. Is a phrase from Ecclesiastes 12:3, a verse from the Bible that uses metaphors to describe the effects of old age on the human body. The strong men symbolize the legs or general body strength, which weakens and stoops with age, causing even the powerful to decline. The verse reminds people to remember their Creator before these signs of physical decline and mortality become evident. And also represents a time where the strong men are your police officers, even your National Guard would be considered strong, the military, because the time that's coming, man, people are not gonna. It's gonna be crazy, man. Okay, the different things that are going on, man. You're gonna be weak. And the grinders cease because there are few. And that's talking about work. Let's see. There's a metaphorical phrase from the book of Ecclesiastes 12:3 that describes the loss of teeth in old age, which makes chewing difficult and leads to the cessation of proper mastication of food. The grinders refers to the teeth, and cease because they are few, signifies their significant loss and diminished ability to function effectively as a person ages. I never heard that. That is funny. Because, our elders go into talking about, the grinders are talking about working. When you hear grinding, you hear work. When you drive and you see construction vehicles, you hear breaking the ground up, and that's grinding it that you're hearing. You hear cars moving because they're going to and fro from work. You hear ambulances. Everybody's working. You're hearing a lot of noise. That's people grinding. Okay, that's gonna be few because there ain't gonna be any jobs. Okay, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. You say your teeth were grinding because you're old. That's why you got to drink water out of your own cistern. And those that look out of the windows be darkened is a metaphorical phrase in the Bible symbolizing the dimming of eyesight with old age. Well, I can see what they're saying, but at the same time, because these scriptures are multifold. Okay, so even if you had the understanding, okay, your teeth are gonna grind, hey, whatever. But it also is talking about a time where you looking out the windows, just like your eyes, being dim. You're not gonna see. It's gonna be dim because what are you gonna do? You're looking out the windows. You're thinking, if I go out there, there's no jobs, there's no work. There's crime is increasing, probably more protests. That's a dim future, man. You don't see the light at the end of that tunnel. It's getting dimmer and dimmer to the point where it's just dark. You don't see anything good coming in the future. No job. What do you call it? No job applications. Not job applications, but prospects. In order to make your situation better. Okay, that's your eyes being darkened. The windows are understood to be a metaphor for the eyes, which grow dim and impair vision as a person ages, a common experience in the physical decline that accompanies old age. And these precepts don't mean that you're old and you can't come into this truth. It's just harder. As you get older, you get, older men, they get stuck in their ways, then they're just unchanging. older you get, the more you just get stuck. You get stubborn and you develop a routine. You just stick with that, you know, because your mind, man, you want less burden on you. Your mind don't really want to work. It naturally doesn't want to do things. You know, that's why when you wake up in the morning, you just want to sleep. You got to fight that. As you get older, that battle gets harder and harder, man. Getting up to go to work is just like, it's way more of a burden. You know, this is why you want to develop the habit of serving the Lord when you're younger. So it's not even an effort to serve the Lord. It's just what you do. Okay, but when you're looking out the windows, this is what they're starting to see, man. You know, even just thinking about the future of it now, the windows are already starting to be darkened. All these scriptures are starting to already come to pass. Okay, the keepers of the house are trembling, and the strong men are bowing themselves. You know, meaning that we just looked up a video, police getting their bones broken. You know, how much more when they get off of the injury, how do you think they're going to be thinking at that time, man? It's just going to get worse and worse. And when shit gets really bad, when they're not going to regard their kings or their princes, how much more do you think they're not going to regard the police either? Okay, so it's going to be a scary time for everybody, even if you're the man on the other side of the gun. You know, because some of these protesters, they might not be bringing their sword out now, but there's going to be a time, like the Lord said, where they shall be against one another, and swords in their hands. They're gonna have swords, just like the National Guard is going to be replaced with the military. They're going to have swords, and those protesters are going to have swords, and they're going to fulfill prophecy. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 4, and the doors shall be shut in the streets. And this is the point that I'm getting to. These businesses are going to be shutting down because what's the point of having a business and you burn all the product that they just bought? They might have insurance on this stuff, but at the same time, their insurance is probably even going up on these things in order to keep, you know, business going and make a profit, you know. And especially this time, insurance companies are probably like, listen, man, we're going to have to charge you a premium, a Donald Duck premium. As long as he's president, insurance companies probably charging you a premium because of what happened in 2020. If all these stores get shut down and caught on fire, just like the Palisade fire, you know, they're going to try to get a bailout from somebody, man. And Duck ain't giving you no bailout. He ain't giving nobody no bailout, man. He won't even give money to his federal workers. They're getting furloughed on their money. If you work at the airport, you working for free right now. Forced to work for free. Get the hell out of here, man. And then he's getting rid of the people who work these jobs you don't even want. All right. So these people, they're out there protesting, which is creating more of an environment to complain and come out on the streets so he can lock your ass up. Okay, so he can put his hands on you. Okay, this is the doors being shut in the streets. When the sound of grinding is low, let's look this up. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Let's see what this says. Ecclesiastes 12:4 describes the infirmities of old age metaphorically, when the doors to the streets are closed and the sound of grinding fades, when people rise up at the sound of birds, but all their songs grow faint. The doors refers to physical senses closing. Okay. The low sound of grinding to failing teeth, and being startled by a bird, to being easily awakened due to reduced hearing. Easily awakened due to reduced hearing. All the daughters of music are the weakened voices of the elderly, and the fading of joy in life's pleasures. Let's see what else it says. I'll keep reading it. It's just kind of funny when you look some of these precepts up online. It's like I never looked up a lot of these precepts. That's why I want to look them up. So some of them, they be on point. Some of them, you're like, what? But, you know, these scriptures are multifaceted scriptures, man. But the point of it is the doors being closed is because businesses are going to be shut down. And the sound of grinding fades is the same thing. The streets being closed ultimately be so you don't, there ain't going to be any work. You know, just like in 2020 when they were putting wood on the buildings so you couldn't go in and steal shit. It was closed. Everything's going to be closed. And the sound of grinding fades and it's no work when people rise up at the sound of birds. And you're going to be rising up the sound of birds because you're not going to hear cars going to and fro and work being done. A bird's going to wake you up, man, because there's no work. You're going to be a lot quieter when people don't have any jobs to go to. But all their songs grow faint. Now, the daughters of music is another metaphor for the music industry. Okay, where, you know, people, brothers break it down multiple ways. But, you know, it's, one, the music sucks. Okay, it's getting worse. And you can see with AI is taking your jobs too, even in the music industry. Okay, the quality of the music is deteriorating. Okay. And that also goes into like Isaiah the 24th chapter, where it tells you that the mirth of the land is gone. Isaiah 24:7, the new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. The mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. Because, you know, if you want to compare it to getting old, it ain't no more joy in this place no more, man. Especially, you know, older people, they look at the younger generations like, what the hell is wrong with you, man? And we already looking like, what the hell is wrong with you? And we ain't even old. That's the crazy part. Brothers ain't in there, you know, it's 80 years old. You know, they still see like this, man. Anyone listening to this, I don't listen to this new music, you know. So it already goes to show you, you don't get that rejoiceful, want to go out and go talk to, pull a chick on the dance floor and talk. You know, that's not like that anymore. You know, this place is done. Isaiah 24:9, they shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. Imagine going to the clubs and bars. I mean, some brothers do it. Some brothers, you know, they'll go right to the club right after the altar. They'll grab a drink, start dancing. You know, they still having fun in Babylon. You know, they're probably trying to get these last days in, the last times they can get out there, man. You know, ain't nothing wrong with it, but the times is that window's vastly closing. It's closing, man. It's gonna be a point where even those, right now, even I don't even drink like that. You know, drinking is like, it's just poison, man. I'd rather wait to drink with your house shot, man. You know, getting drunk, going to the bar. You think you having fun, but are you really? No, you're not. You're probably just trying to get your mind off of what's really the real issue, man, which is Esau. Judgment on the earth, it's all part of it. Keep going. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 5. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fears shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. Let's look this up. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 5 is a poetic description of the effects of old age, where the almond tree blossoms, representing white hair. Grasshopper becomes a burden, symbolizing a loss of physical energy, and desires fails, meaning a decline in sexual and other appetites. The verse emphasizes the inevitable physical decline and loss of vitality that accompany aging, serving a prelude to the finality of death mentioned in the following verse. I guess so. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high. Is a phrase from the Bible, specifically Ecclesiastes 12 verse 5, which describes the physical and mental decline of old age. In this poetic passage, the fear of heights symbolizes the increased frailty and caution that comes with aging, as well as the general dangers and challenges that become more pronounced in later life. Afraid of that which is high. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high. And fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish. And the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be burdened, and desire shall fail, because the man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. I gotta get that in chat. I know it's going off. I don't know this precept. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 5 meaning. I gotta find a video of brother breaking this one down. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 5 meaning. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 5 meaning. Let's see how chat breaks it down. Afraid of that which is high, and fears shall be in the way. As people age, they become more cautious and fearful. Heights, stairs, and even walking can seem dangerous. Spiritually, it can also refer to losing courage or confidence in worldly matters, knowing the end of life draws near. Okay. Job 14:1, man that is born of a woman is of few days and full of trouble. Psalms 90:10, the days of our years are 60 years and 10, and we fly away. That's right, you don't live long, man. The almond tree shall flourish. The almond tree blossoms white, symbolizing gray or white hair that comes with old age. Is that true? I didn't know that. Does an almond tree blossom white? Almond trees? You can view blossom white almond trees by photographing them. Yeah, I guess they do. During late winter and early spring, February through March, or by exploring symbolic. That's beautiful. I didn't know that. It represents the outward sign of aging and declining vitality. Proverbs 16:31, the hoary head is a crown of glory, if it be found in a way of righteousness. Right? The grasshopper shall be a burden. A grasshopper is light, yet here it becomes a burden. This symbolizes how even small tasks or movements become difficult for the elderly. Now that makes sense. It can also suggest a loss of physical strength and the slowing down of one's body. The grasshopper shall be a burden. Precept, Isaiah 46:4. And even to your old age I am he, even to hoar hairs will I carry you. Ooh, it's beautiful, man. Showing you the Lord can even deliver you in your old age, man. Some of us ain't gonna have the strength of our youth, you know. And the Lord, you know, this is why trusting in the Lord is important for all ages. Desire shall fail. That refers to the loss of appetite or passion. Both physical and worldly desires fade as death nears. The pleasures and ambitions of youth no longer stir the same feelings, right? 2 Samuel 19:35, Barzillai says, can I hear any more the voice of singing men and women? Thy servant will go a little way over Jordan. Yeah, he didn't want to be a burden to anybody. Beautiful precept. Because man goeth to his long home. This is a poetic phrase for death, the long home or eternal resting place, the grave or the afterlife. It marks the transitions from the temporary life on the earth to the permanent dwelling beyond. Job 30:23, for I know that thou wilt bring me to death, into the house appointed for all living. Hebrews 9:27, and as it is appointed unto me once to die, but after this the judgment. And the mourners go about the streets refers to funeral processions in public mourning that follow a person's death. It reflects the earthly side of death, the people left behind grieving. Precept, Jeremiah 9:17, women are called to mourn and wail for the dead. Ecclesiastes 12:5 portrays the final stages of human life. Fear replaces confidence, strength fades, desire diminishes, death draws near, and finally the body returns to dust while the spirit goes to God, as explained in Ecclesiastes 12:7. Ecclesiastes 12:6, or ever the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel be broken at the cistern. Next verse. The verse continues the poetic imagery describing death and the desolation of the body, the moment when the soul departs and the body ceases to function. Each image here symbolizes the fragile connection between the spirit and the body. Or ever the silver cord be loosed. The silver cord represents the vital connection between the soul, spirit, and the body. When it is loose or snapped, life ends. The spirit departs from the physical body. Precepts, Job 34:14. If he set his heart upon man, all flesh shall perish together, and man shall turn again unto dust. Ecclesiastes 12:7. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. Or the golden bowl be broken. The golden bowl symbolizes the head or brain. All right, so the silver cord be loose. We're just talking about your spirit. And the golden bowl be broken. Golden bowl symbolizes the head or brain, often regarded as the vessel of consciousness in life. When the bowl is broken, the seat of life is destroyed, symbolizing death or the end of mental function. Gold, being precious, represents the value of life, but even it is fragile and temporary. Psalm 103:14, for he knoweth our frame, he remembereth that we are dust, the wind passeth over it, and it is gone. Or the pitcher be broken at the fountain. The pitcher draws water from the fountain, symbolizing the heart and circulatory system, or the process that sustains life. When the pitcher breaks, the flow of life ceases, blood no longer circulates, and breath no longer flows. Precepts, Leviticus 17:11, for the life of the flesh is in the blood. Job 7:7. Oh, remember that my life is when my eyes shall no more see good. Or the wheel broken at the cistern. The wheel at the cistern was used to draw water up, symbolizing the lungs or organs that sustain breath. When the wheel breaks, the process of drawing in life, spirit, breath stops, meaning death. Precept, Genesis 2:7. And the Lord God formed man out of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Psalm 104:29. Thou takest away their breath, they die and return to their dust. Summary, Ecclesiastes 12:6 uses symbolic poetic language to describe the moment of death. The silver cord, spirit-body link is severed. The golden bowl, life and consciousness, is broken. The pitcher and wheel, organs of life and death and breath, cease to function. All imagery points to the same truth. Life is temporary, fragile, and precious, and every man must one day return to his creator. And that's right, man. So, especially if we don't get saved in this time, we're screwed. We're screwed, man. This is why you want to be hastening the day, man. Okay, Ecclesiastes 12:7. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was. The dust refers to the human body, which was created from the earth. When a person dies, the body decomposes and returns to the soil, completing the physical cycle of life. That's right. Genesis 3:19. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. Job 34:15. All flesh shall perish together, and man shall turn again unto dust, meaning the body is temporary, mortal, and returns to its original material, the earth. And the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. The spirit, ruach, means breath, wind, or the life-giving force from the Most High. When the body dies, the spirit, breath of life, departs and returns to the Creator who originally gave it. This does not mean immediate judgment or consciousness in heaven or hell. It means the life or force return to God's possession, awaiting his command of resurrection or judgment. Precepts, Job 12:10, in whose hand is the soul of every living thing and the breath of all mankind. Psalm 104:29, thou takest away their breath, they die and return to the dust. Thou sendest forth thy spirit, they are created. Wisdom, Solomon 15:11, for as much as he knew not his maker, in him that inspired into him an active soul and breathed in a living spirit. Ecclesiastes 12:7 is the final truth of human existence. The body dust returns to earth. The spirit, ruach, returns to God, the source of all life. It emphasizes that man owns nothing, not even his own life, for both body and breath belong to the Creator. This verse reminds us of the importance of remembering the Creator in youth before the body weakens and death comes. So that's right, man. Because the way the body's going to go, it ain't good, man, especially with this devil being in power. It's going to come in a multitude of ways. But I'm ending it right here. Lord's will, this was edifying.